Hello, and thank you for joining me for teacher conference. Lelia is your daughter, and she is such a joy to have in class because even though she is she's a little behind, of course, because she skipped a grade. She didn't go to kindergarten. She is so determined to learn, and she's always coming in the morning, ready to work with me on what she needs. And even when the class has come in and started to work on something else, and I'll say, "Do you want to start working on the journal?" She'll be like, "No, let's finish the book." So she's been really fun to have in class, and I'm seeing her really steadily progress as we work together. And so I took these tests on her. I took multiple tests on her, such as I did a few running records where she reads to me and I mark what she read correctly and what she read incorrectly. So I took a running record. We did some comprehension. So after we would finish a book, I would ask her what, tell me about the book, and she would retell to me what she read, beginning, middle, and end, and some questions that I asked her. And then we also did a spelling test, but like a spelling test that lets me know where she's at, such as how understanding her consonants and her short vowels and digraphs, such as like sh or ch, or tur. Oh no, tur is a blend. Don't listen to me. And blends. It also does that, and so it just shows me where she's at with how she's spelling. And then we also did a interview. I interviewed her on how she thinks as a reader she is. So all these tests help me to see where exactly where she's at and let me know, okay, do we have her reading books that are too low or too high? Where is she struggling? What are the holes that I can fix and work on what she's doing really well at? So those are the assessments that we did, and some of the strengths that I saw with her was, like I said at the beginning, she's so willing to learn. She comes in the mornings and works with me, and I say, "What do you want to work on?" And she tells me exactly what she wants to work on, and she wants to finish it. And when she's a little bit slower, like she's a slower worker than the other students, but she's a thorough worker. So like I'll notice that she's still working on, we've read a book and we're writing like what the book was about, and I'll say, "I need complete sentences from you guys." And I'm walking around, I'm seeing kids that are done and they have not finished their work, or they just wrote not complete sentences, and I'll walk over to Lilia to see if she needs help or why she's going slower, and she'll be writing in complete, full, nice handwriting sentences. So she's a very thorough worker, and so that makes her work really good. She's also, her reading is really improving. Like from these assessments, I noticed that I think that her level of reading is too easy that we have her on. So she is improving on her reading, and she needs to move up. And her comprehension was great. She could tell me exactly what she read, because maybe that was because she's improved so much that what she's reading isn't even hard. She can tell me exactly what she read. And she also is very confident about her reading, which is good. And she said on a scale to 1 to 5, as 5 being a great reader and 1 being a not so great reader, she put herself at a 4. So I think that's really great. Whether a student thinks that, whether it really is true for a student, it's really good to have confidence, because that gives them the motivation to keep reading. Like, hey, I'm a good reader, I'll keep reading. So that's great to see that she thought of herself as a great reader. And so for some recommendations, like I said, her comprehension was really good. And so at school, we do a little more in depth, of course. Like, I have them, we read a book, and then we write about, we have a worksheet with questions about beginning, middle, and end. And so we work a little more in depth on the strategies. But for something that you could work out at home, I would suggest just, Lilia said that you guys read at home together at night on the couch all the time, which is so good. That's something that is so helpful for little kids. They need that reading, just constant reading, and meaningful, and especially with somebody that they're comfortable with. And so so like when you're reading at home, maybe at the end, just ask a few comprehension questions, such as like, "So what was the book about that we read?" Or "What do you think, what happened?" Or "Why do you think this happened?" Like, why did the main character feel sad about such and such? Just ask her some questions, which gets her in the habit of thinking about what she read. And so just keep doing that with her when you read with her at night, and just practice that comprehension of thinking about what did I just read. And especially because she'll learn that, reading isn't just to read words, it's to read and to make meaning of the words that you're reading. And so that's something that you can do at home with her. One of the tests that we did was the spelling test. So as you can see here, for the spelling test that we worked on, she got 7 out of 7 in consonants, initial and final. On the short vowels, her digraphs, she did 7 out of 7. She even did she got a 6 out of 7 on blends. She just really did so great on that. And so I would suggest that she, what did I suggest? We've learned in Tompkins that it's important to have a lot of meaningful interaction with words. And that should be a 3-to-1 ratio. So just 3, for every time that I'm working on phonics, specific phonics with the kids, there should be 3 meaningful moments that the kids have with reading and writing. And so at home, it's so easy. I mean, I'm not saying have spelling tests for her that she needs to be practicing, or to have some really structured practice with phonics, but there's some really easy things that you can do, such as, writing a letter, having meaningful, write a letter to your parents. It's Christmas time. Have her write her own letter to Santa, and maybe be there to help her, and to talk about words and how to spell them and such if she asks. But just some meaningful, write a letter to Santa, write a letter to a friend or a relative that you have. Or maybe when I was a kid, I liked to write stories for my family and stuff, and then, my parents would get laminated and reading. So there's just little things that you can do for them to practice her phonics and thinking about how do I spell this and such at home, but in a meaningful manner, instead of the way that I do it at school, which is more explicit. As far as her needs, like I said, on her blends, on her blends, she got 6 out of 7. She went 7 out of 7, 7 out of 7. Then she got 6 out of 7. And then we went straight, when we started doing long vowel patterns, she went straight to 0 out of 7. She didn't get any of her long vowel patterns, such as for example, in this word hope, she spelled it H-O-P. And so she didn't realize the long vowel, okay, there must be an E at the end. And as well as she didn't, or for dream, she spelled it D-R-E-M, which is drum. and so she didn't realize that there is an E-A in there. And so, like I said, at school, I'm working on more explicit practice with the kids, but at home, having some meaningful interactions, such as, you have words around you all day. When you come to a stop sign, S-T-O-P is a short vowel sound, stop. So maybe talking about why does, when we say stop, it's ah, it's a short vowel sound, S-T-O-P. But if there's an E at the end, it would be stope. So just maybe using the words that she sees around her to talk about why something is said or spelled why we say things the way they are. She also, I think, keeping kind of with this phonics, she struggles with decoding. When we would read together, she would read really well until she came to an unfamiliar road, and I noticed that her decoding wasn't super strong. She would either kind of she didn't want to stop and sound something out. She wanted to just read over it really fast. So she would come to a word that was unfamiliar, and she'd either mumble something incoherent, or she would say something kind of similar that kind of didn't make contextually any sense, but it looked similar. So she would just say, so for example, in one of the times she read right here in her writing record that I took, she said it's take instead of talk, which looks very similar, but instead of taking the time to, although I guess this isn't a very great example because talk, you can't really, it would be talk if we sounded it out. But, or here, it said chirps. Instead of chirps, she said trips. And we could have taken a moment for her to go ch, ERPs, you know, and instead she just said trips, which kind of looks similar. But, and so as for another example, for something that, for me, we're working on in class, we have, oh, it's 10 minutes.